There is a moment, not dramatic, not cinematic, where a man realizes that his purpose no longer fits within the life he has built. It does not arrive with thunder. It does not knock politely at the door. It simply appears, silent, immense, unyielding, and waits. And in that quiet confrontation, something shifts. Aeneas knew this moment. He stood on the shore of North Africa, watching the smoke of Troy curl into the sky behind him like the ghost of what he once was. He had survived the fall, led the remnants of his people across a sea of graves, and yet, when Dido offered him love, warmth, belonging, peace, he did not take it. He could not, because something heavier than love had already taken root inside him. Purpose, not ambition, not desire, not even destiny, though many call it that. No, purpose is the weight you carry when everything else falls away. It is the fire that burns clean through comfort, through attachment, through the illusion that you are free to choose your path. Aeneas understood that freedom is a myth sold to those who have never felt the hand of fate grip their spine. You think you wake up each morning and decide who you will be, but sometimes, and for some men, the choice was made long before they were ready to hear it. The man who carries the gods. Aeneas was not born a hero. He was not Achilles, wreathed in rage and glory. He was not Odysseus, clever and cunning, weaving his way through gods and monsters alike. He was a man burdened, the son of Aphrodite, yes, but more importantly, the bearer of divine legacy. His mother gave him life, but she also gave him duty. And duty, unlike love, does not ask if you are ready. It simply demands obedience. In the ruins of Troy, Aeneas carried his father on his back, led his son by the hand, and fled the flames of a dying world. That image, the man bearing his past while running toward an uncertain future, is one of the most potent symbols of masculinity ever etched into human memory, because that is what a man must do. He carries, he preserves, he endures, even when the weight threatens to break him, even when the world offers him rest, even when love says, stay. Dido saw in Aeneas what many women see in strong men, a fortress. She had built her own kingdom from exile. She had risen above loss, betrayal, and abandonment. And when Aeneas arrived, wounded, weary, but unbowed, she recognized something in him, a soul that matched her own. For a time, they lived in harmony. They ruled together, they loved fiercely, openly, and for a fleeting season, Aeneas allowed himself to believe that he could stop, that he could belong, that he could be a man defined by love rather than legacy. But purpose does not sleep, it waits, it watches, and when the gods remind you of your duty, not with words, but with silence, you know it is time to leave. So he left, without ceremony, without explanation, because there are no words for the moment when a man chooses the future over the present. When he walks away, not because he wants to, but because he must. Dido, shattered, cursed him. She called down vengeance. She took her own life, and Aeneas sailed on. Was he cruel? Was he heartless? Or was he simply a man who had outgrown the world that once held him? Because here is the truth that few dare speak. Love is not always salvation. Sometimes it is the chain that binds you to a life that no longer fits. And when a man begins to grow, truly grow, into the version of himself that the world needs, love can become the first thing he must abandon, not because he stops caring, but because he cannot carry both. The soul's war within. We speak often of external battles, wars, struggles, conflicts, but the greatest war a man wages is not against others. It is within himself, between what he wants and what he must do, between who he was and who he is becoming, between the warmth of love and the cold clarity of purpose. This is the battlefield where real men are forged. Aeneas did not reject Dido out of arrogance or indifference. He rejected her because he understood that the soul must sometimes choose between two sacred things, and neither choice is without cost. To stay would have been to betray the future, to go was to betray the present, and so he chose the lesser betrayal, because that is the burden of leadership, of greatness, of being chosen. Whether you asked for it or not, men like Aeneas do not get the luxury of soft endings. They do not get to retire into love and forget the weight they carry, because the weight is not just theirs. It is the weight of history, of lineage, of civilization itself. The first death, the death of comfort. Before a man can rise, he must fall, not in failure, not in defeat, but in comfort. He must die to the life that once sustained him, because growth is not evolution, it is revolution. And revolutions demand casualties. When Aeneas left Dido, he died, not physically, but spiritually. He killed the part of himself that longed for peace. He buried the man who could have stayed. He burned the dream of domestic bliss. And from its ashes rose the man Rome needed. A founder, a warrior, a symbol, but not a lover. Not anymore. Because once you feel the pull of something greater than yourself, nothing less will satisfy. And once you answer that call, truly answer it, you can never go back. Here is the unspoken truth about greatness. We admire great men. We quote them. We build statues in their honor. But we rarely ask, what did they lose? What did they give up? Who did they have to leave behind? Because greatness does not come with applause. It comes with silence, with solitude, with the knowledge that every step forward costs something irretrievable. Aeneas became the father of Rome, but he lost the woman who loved him, and in doing so, he proved a truth that haunts every man who dares to lead. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot hold both the sword and the embrace. One must go, and if you are truly called, if your purpose is not just a whim but a force, then you will find yourself walking away again and again until only the mission remains. Purpose is not a whisper. It is not the gentle suggestion of passion or the soft glow of inspiration. No, purpose is fire, and like all fire, it consumes before it illuminates. Aeneas knew this. He did not choose his path with joy or even understanding. He was thrust into it by war, by loss, by the gods themselves, and most of all, by the silent voice inside him that would not let him rest. That voice does not ask permission. It does not offer comfort. It only burns. And if you are a man who listens, truly listens, then you will walk through that fire willingly, knowing full well what you leave behind. Solitude is not absence. It is presence, stripped bare. It is where a man meets himself without distraction, without illusion, without the mirror of another soul to tell him who he is. Aeneas walked alone, not because he wanted to, but because he had to. He could not bring Dido with him into the storm of his becoming. No woman can follow where a man must go when he answers the call of purpose. She may love him deeply, fiercely, but she cannot carry what he carries. She cannot bear the weight that has been placed upon him. So he left her behind, not as an enemy, not as a mistake, but as a sacrifice. Because solitude is the forge in which greatness is made. There, in silence, a man learns discipline. He learns patience. He learns to sit with the fire inside him and not run from its heat. He learns that peace is not the absence of conflict, it is the mastery of it. He learns that strength is not in action, it is in restraint, in knowing when to